back to the channel. We're back on that 1811 and we're going to get the wiring harness out of it and we're going to get it replaced. But in this video right here, we're going to take the bad electric harness out of the wiring harness, and then we're going to change the steering box and put the new one in. This one here just has a little bit of wobble in it. So we're going to get that apart. I'm going to show you a quick way. Like I always say, it's a lot easier when you start from the bottom up and build these machines to work on them. So we're going to peel them back and we're going to get this out. This is your hot wire right here. Doesn't even have an end on it. It has zip ties all over. No sheeting on it or anything on this harness. So thing we're going to have to do is loosen up the shifter. It takes a 7/16 on the inside, 1/2 inch on this side. It's fine thread. And we're going to loosen it up to get these wires around it. It'll actually, to put the new harness in, it'll make it a lot easier. Now, I have never heard this machine run. I'm not even sure how good the transmission is, but we're going to roll the dice on it and go from there. I'm really glad I'm replacing the harness. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that shifter right off completely. I'm going to tell you why. When we run the new one in, this area right here, it'll just make it a lot easier to set it down in the frame. So I'll take that right out. It only takes a minute to put that back on anyway. After we get done with this, we're going to start dropping it out of the dash. We're going to do the key switch, and I'm going to take this harness off as an assembly. Only I'm plugging on the gauges a few places. I'm going to put this shifter, I just dropped that nut. I'm going to put the shifter off to the side just like this. So now we're going to unhook the electric switch. Takes a 5/8 to do that. And I might be able to turn it right off by hand. Now, they didn't put the right one on here. This one here is 11/16. And this is actually the nut for the fuses that somebody put to hold the switch in. Usually they are hex and they're 5/8 to take them off. So I'm going to use this 11/16 socket. Now on the fuses, if you look here, it has a notch. That's so you can put the plug in. This goes right through the fuse. In fact, I'll get one. And right here, you can see they have a cutout for them. So when you put this nut on the fuse holder right here, it goes around there, and it has to be that way, and then you tighten it up. So that's something that is a neat idea, to be honest with you. A lot of guys replace the fuses and use the newer style. Now next, we're going to take the nut off on the key switch, the index switch. We're going to use a 15/16. We're going to use that for the steering wheel also. And run that nut right off in there. Then we'll take the switch right out. Now, when I take apart a harness, I try to keep them all together. And the reason why is I sell quite a few harnesses. And I like it so it's easy plug and play for everyone that buys them. Now, the next thing we're going to unhook is a reverse switch. And this one here has been jumped right there. Them wires were live when it was running. Right here is your hour meter. We're just going to unhook them. And now here is your amp switch. Now, something that I've always just kept in my head, on the left-hand side is where the red one goes. So when you're putting them together, it's the furthest one to the left. You always look at it when you're driving the machine. But if you're looking at it this way, obviously it's on the right. But this one goes towards the outside. Right here is your oil pressure switch. And right here is your electric clutch switch right here. Now that's an index switch too. It'll say index right on it. And when you put these together, you can't get them screwed up because they're plug and play. So now we're going to take the regulator off the side, and then we're going to take the harness right out of it. And then we're going to loosen up this valve, and then we're going to replace the steering box. Now to do the regulator right here, they're 1/4-inch bolts. I'm going to actually use a wrench. And the reason why is unplugging these, it's very difficult to get these connections apart. And I don't have a clue why, but it always is. I've never sold one of these regulators before, ever. So they must be about as bulletproof as they come. So never even had a person ask me for one yet. Now I'm going to keep it all together in case I have to go back and reference it. The white wire right here is one of your grounds. So I'm going to put it back through like this. And this side right here, which would have been the top, has the star ground on it right there. So to be honest, it's quite important, especially a lot of these machines, you guys paint them and stuff, so you want to have a good ground. A lot of your issue when you have something that doesn't start or work is a ground issue. So the next thing we're going to unhook, and this one has already been bypassed, is the foot switch. And I'm going to try to get you down in there and show you that. There it is. You can see it's been bypassed. And now, I don't ever bypass them at all. I always, especially with if you have a standard, you definitely want your foot switch. This one doesn't even have a foot switch in it. So, right there's a special clip. Now this harness should be ready to come out. We have one more holder right there. Now, one thing I have is a cotter pin puller right there. It works good for peeling these holders back. I bought this right down. Actually, I bought a whole kit of them. I have all kinds of different angles. They work really good for snap rings and all kinds of different things. So we're all loosened up. We're going to run that straight through here. You could take some side cutters and you could start cutting wires and cutting them out. I like to keep everything organized, and the reason why is there's a lot of times I save these junk harnesses, and the reason why I save them is actually we're pulling it through right now. Right here, I use a lot of them type of connections. Them are the connections for the tail lights. A lot of times I get a machine in that they are snipped off, and when I put them together, I like them to look just about like original. I'm very particular on things. It's like anything, it's details. So the harness is out. Now we're going to take the steering wheel off. You can see that the headlights, they've been worked on also right here. So they have them type of connections on there. They screwed them on instead of having the push-on one. So these are 4411 lights. If you ever need to order them, they're GE. That's a GE number, and that's standard with lights. And you can see it says 4411 on it. So now next we're going to take the steering wheel off. I've been soaking it with some WD-40. The nut's already a little bit loose. So we're going to run that off. And I am going to check it to see if I can yank, and I can yank this one off. Wow, that penetrating oil really made that much difference on it. Somebody greased that one there before. So usually, I'll be honest with you, a lot of times what I do is keep the nut on and I have this old punch here, and it's pretty dangerous. You definitely want to wear safety glasses with this one. It's been mushroomed over. And I put it right in there, and I put my knee underneath it just like this, and usually I pop them just this way. But usually they don't come off. But somebody's definitely put some grease and never sees on this one, so it came right off. So we're going to take the grommet off next. And this grommet here, I see a lot of machines come in without them. Is you have, when you don't have the grommet on, you have the hole right here, and it makes them look a little bit different. So the 982s were a little bit different, the early ones. They had one that was that kind of flared up a little bit. It was kind of a neat looking one. So we're gonna move to the front. We're gonna loosen up that valve, and then we're going to loosen up this bracket right here. We're going to loosen it up right in this area right here. That pinches the steering box like this, so it holds it in there. But the first thing we're going to do is loosen up this valve right here. So the first thing I'm going to do, like I said, was loosen up this valve. I'm using Gear-O-Matic, actually a 13 millimeter, and it's a short socket. I need to buy a set of standards, but this works really well, loosen up these valves, because I'm going to leave this valve right in there. These bottom lines right here will hold that valve right in. All you have to do is get it loosened up. Now, they use lock nuts on these hydraulic valves. The bottom ones are a little bit tighter, but nothing's going to drop down, so I could do the top. Now, before I put this machine together, I better replace these hydraulic lines. The sheeting is off in these. And I have all them parts, so we'll get the bottom ones. That's a little tighter. Now, if you had a standard socket, you wouldn't be able to get it in there. Now, it did drop down just a tad. This side over here, I'm going to have to use a wrench, and it's 1/2 inch. They're 5/16. Absolutely love working on these machines. I really do. 1811 was a real easy machine to work on. I'm in my slow time of year right now, so this actually will fill the void. We have sun today. That's one thing we have. It's been awfully cold early this year. It isn't even Thanksgiving yet. I think today's the 17th of November. Actually, before I loosen this up here, before we drop it out of there, loosen up this one here, I'm going to remove the drag link that goes to the front end. Then we're going to go behind here, and we're going to take the 2 3/8 bolts that hold the steering box. And then after that, we're going to loosen this up, and we're going to see if that steering box just drops right out of there. And it should. I won't guarantee it will, but it should. Somebody put an elastic nut on here. It's going to take a 1/2 inch on this side, 9/16 on this. And actually, I like it better. A lot of them still have the nut on there with a cotter pin. And when you're putting them back together, that makes it a little bit more difficult. We're going to put the nut back on there. That looks a little bit loose. We might replace that too. Now we're going to take the 2 bolts off to hold the steering box in. And actually, I think I'm going to do it the hard way. I'm going to use a wrench. Use a ratchet wrench. A lot of times I use a long extension and go right down this way with it, but not everyone does it that way. We're going to do it kind of the manual way. We're going to use a ratchet wrench. It's 9/16. Now, if you leave it clamped on the top, when this bolt comes loose, you should be able to turn it out with your fingers. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. This has probably never been apart since it was brand new. And there's the first bolt. Now this is going to be a lot easier because the motor's out. It doesn't bother me to take the motor out of these, so it just makes them a lot easier to work on when the motor's out of it. So now everything's loose except the clamp on the inside here above the hydraulic valve. We're going to loosen that up. And actually, before we go to the other side, let's spray this down with some WD-40. That will make a lot of difference in it. This steering box here, you can see is quite loose in this area right here. So I'm really glad that I'm replacing it. I'm going to loosen this up. Now that's a carriage bolt, so you could want to loosen it up. If it starts turning on the back side, just put your finger in there and push it out. So let's spray that down. Now this box here, somebody's had the valve off before, and when we get the steering box, they sandwiched it so hard, I'll show you, they crunched it. So that might make it a little bit tough because they clamped it way too tight. There was no reason that it had to be tightened that much. We'll spray it down. And let's see if that comes out. And it's going to take a little bit, but and there it is, it's almost out. So we have it out, right here it is, and you can see it's a little loose. It wasn't that bad. Probably could have tightened it up right here, but when you turned it, it had a little bit of a catch in it, and it's definitely on this plastic piece here, it's a little bit wore. So it has around 1,100 hours on it. It hasn't had grease in quite some time, you can tell that. So let's get the other steering box in it, and we'll get it all reassembled. We're going to put the steering box back in. Just had to fix my ready heater. I had to tear it all apart and get it fixed. It's a little smoky in here. I burn diesel fuel in mine, but I do have it adjusted now. I had to put a plug in it, take it apart, the nozzle, and I'm a furnace man too, I guess. So when you're a mechanic, you never know what you're going to be working on daily, and you don't make any money working on your own stuff, but it is what it is. So we're going to put that steering box back in, and right here's the new one we're putting in. Actually, it's not a new one, it's a used one. This one here is actually out of an 1811, and you want to lube them up real good, and we're going to put it right through here, push it right up through. Now with the motor out of it, it makes it a lot easier. We're not going to tighten up anything until we get the bottom bolts in. And I kind of want it to go all by itself right in there. I must be hitting on something. It's nice and loose, but I can't get it to go in there. It's going to go. You want to turn it, put it in. This isn't the worst job. Now these are where the bolts are going to go on the back side. We're going to turn that. And hopefully it's kind of lined up. We'll move the camera to the back. We'll put them 3/8 bolts back in. The thing is, after getting the heater fixed, I've been using propane. There isn't any heat in propane. So I couldn't wait to get that ready heater fixed. They just blow out a lot of heat. It's like a waste oil furnace, you know. Now it's so hot in here you can't stand it. I don't like to be overly warm. See if that's lined up. It might take a few seconds to get these bolts in. And there we go, that one's in. I'm actually gonna turn it in as far as I can with my hands. Make sure you lube up them bolts. This one here should be pretty close to lining up, and it is. We're going to use a ratchet, 1/4 inch with 9/16 on it. And I'm going to use a ratchet wrench, tighten them right up. They don't have to be overly tight, but you want them tight enough. We're going to put the steering wheel back on, and before we end the video, we'll have the drag link on the bottom installed. Now we have to do a little bit more work on the front end. We have to change that crossover tie rod. I often film I am going to be changing these hydraulic lines. I don't want to have it all together and have them lines bust on me. So we're going to put the grommet on first. We'll lube it up. Now we're going to put the steering wheel on. And this one already has a sponge piece on it, so we're going to take this one off. Now we're going to turn the wheel straight, and we're going to put, I always put it so this spoke here is facing downward. Put the nut on there. Now if you have to rethread the steering shaft, it's 5/8 fine. That should be tight enough. Now you want to make sure you get them tight enough because a lot of steering wheels come in and I notice that they think the steering is a little bit loose and actually the steering wheel's loose. So I get that quite often. Here you get all kinds of different things. Right there's the center cap. And now let's get it hooked up underneath. We'll put it in. We'll probably have to line it up a little bit. There we go. Now, with the elastic nut on there, it actually makes it a lot handier. You won't have to put that cotter pin in there. Yeah, it's not quite original, but it's a hell of a lot easier, so. And there we go. Now I realize that tie rod on this side is a little bit wore, but let's just make sure that it steers in good shape. So I thought about it before we end this video. I'm going to film probably tomorrow. We're going to replace these hydraulic lines. So we're gonna do that on film, show you how to do it, because the one in the back here is a little bit tough from that area right there. So we're going to film that tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I hope you enjoy my videos. I apologize for being a little bit smoky in here, but I can't really help it. But I am warm. That's one thing I can honestly say. We have snow on the ground outside. So thank you so much. And like always, we'll see you on the next video.